A state of emergency has been declared on the Greek island of Santorini following several days of tremors.
I work on the island, I've lived here for years, but nobody was expecting this.
Right, in other news, tremors were felt at one of the largest volcanic eruption sites in the island off the coast of Greece.
The earth beneath Santorini trembles once more. A place known for its stunning whitewashed buildings, deep blue waters, and sunsets that paint the sky in hues of fire, Santorini holds a darker secret, a sleeping giant beneath its waves. Recently, the island has experienced a series of powerful tremors, shaking not only the land, but also the nerves of those who call it home. But what if these earthquakes are just the beginning? What if something far more sinister lurks beneath the Aegean Sea, waiting for its moment to awaken? Santorini is not just another picturesque island. It sits atop one of the most dangerous volcanic systems in the world. While tourists flock to its cliffs for breathtaking views, few realize they are standing on the rim of a massive caldera, a relic of one of the most catastrophic eruptions in human history. And now, the Earth is rumbling again. What do these latest tremors mean? Are they merely the island shifting in its sleep? Or are they the warning signs of something much greater? Today, we uncover the hidden forces at play beneath Santorini and explore what could happen if this ancient beast were to stir once more. The Earth moves, but what does it mean? The first tremor came suddenly, an almost imperceptible shaking that barely disturbed the quiet of the island, then another and another. The people of Santorini are no strangers to earthquakes, yet these were different, more frequent, more intense. The ground beneath them wasn't just shifting, it was restless, sending shock waves through the island and ripples across the sea. Seismographs lit up with activity, showing a pattern that was both familiar and deeply unsettling. Clusters of quakes, ranging in magnitude, rattled Santorini in a way reminiscent of past volcanic awakenings. These weren't isolated events, they followed a pattern, one seen in history when something far more powerful was building beneath the surface. The last major eruption of Santorini reshaped the entire Mediterranean, creating a disaster so vast that it may have inspired the legend of Atlantis. Could this recent seismic activity be the beginning of another such event? The island sits at the center of the Hellenic Arc, where the African and Eurasian plates collide, creating an environment where pressure builds deep within the Earth. And when that pressure becomes too much, it releases in one of two ways: through earthquakes or through the violent force of volcanic eruption. Comparing this to activity in places like Yellowstone in the United States, the parallels are striking. Like Santorini, Yellowstone sits atop a supervolcano with constant monitoring of its seismic and geothermal activity. But while Yellowstone's timeline for an eruption remains uncertain, Santorini's history tells us that when it stirs, the consequences are immediate and far-reaching. A history of catastrophe, Greece's seismic and volcanic peril. Greece lies at the convergence of the African and Eurasian tectonic plates, a volatile boundary that has unleashed catastrophic earthquakes and volcanic eruptions for millennia. In 365 AD, a massive earthquake generated a tsunami that devastated Mediterranean coastlines, reshaping entire cities. In 1953, a quake in the Ionian Sea left thousands homeless on the islands of Kefalonia, Zakynthos, and Ithaca. More recently, in 1999, a relatively moderate earthquake in Athens resulted in over 140 fatalities, proving that even small shifts in the Earth's crust can cause untold devastation. But the earthquakes aren't the only threat. Greece is home to some of the most infamous volcanic eruptions in history. The colossal eruption of Santorini around 1600 BC remains one of the most powerful volcanic events ever recorded. This event, known as the Minoan eruption, devastated the island, launched a massive ash cloud into the stratosphere, altered weather patterns across Europe and Asia, and is believed to have contributed to the decline of the Minoan civilization on Crete. Some even speculate that it inspired the legend of Atlantis, described by Plato as a once great civilization swallowed by the sea, a sleeping volcano with an unpredictable past. Santorini's history is written in layers of ash and lava, telling the story of an island that has been destroyed and reborn time and time again. The Minoan eruption was not the only time the volcano woke. Over the centuries, multiple eruptions have reshaped the island, each adding new layers to its geological history. In 1707, a series of eruptions over 5 years led to the formation of Nea Kameni, a small volcanic island in the center of the Caldera. More recently, in the 20th century, Santorini saw smaller eruptions, with the last recorded one in 1950. What makes Santorini so dangerous is the unpredictability of its volcanic system. Unlike other volcanoes that show clear signs before an eruption, like the slow buildup of pressure seen in Mount St. Helens or Kilauea, Santorini's past activity suggests it can shift from dormancy to eruption in a matter of months. This uncertainty makes monitoring the island's seismic activity crucial. Scientists have placed sensors around the caldera to track tremors, gas emissions, and ground deformation, all of which could indicate rising magma beneath the surface. In 2011 and 2012, a series of seismic swarms raised concerns about potential volcanic unrest, but no major eruption followed. These incidents highlight how little we truly understand about the timing of Santorini's eruptions. And now, with new seismic swarms detected, the possibility of another eruption cannot be ignored. The island is now a popular tourist destination, with thousands of visitors arriving daily during peak seasons. A significant eruption could trigger mass evacuations, economic disruption, and potential loss of life, not only on the island, but also in surrounding regions affected by ash fallout and tsunamis. Airlines, shipping routes, and even climate patterns could be influenced by a major event. The question is not if Santorini will erupt again, but when, and whether we will be prepared when it does. Understanding the island's past is key to anticipating its future, as the forces beneath Santorini remain active, waiting for their next moment to reshape history. Hidden forces beneath the waves. It's not just the earthquakes that are concerning, it's what they could be leading to. The real danger lies beneath the waves, in a place few have ever seen. Nea Kameni, the small volcanic island at the center of Santorini's caldera, holds the key to understanding what's happening underground. In recent years, researchers have noted increased geothermal activity, with gases bubbling to the surface, water temperatures rising, and ground deformation signaling potential magma movement. This unseen activity suggests that the earthquakes may not be random, but rather the result of magma shifting beneath the crust, searching for an escape. If pressure continues to build, it could lead to a new eruption, one that could reshape the island yet again. The impact wouldn't be contained to Santorini alone. Depending on the magnitude of the eruption, it could send tsunamis racing across the Aegean, disrupt air travel for weeks due to volcanic ash, and trigger climate changes similar to past large-scale eruptions like Krakatoa or Mount Pinatubo. Santorini's geological history is a testament to the devastating power of its volcano. Nearly 3,600 years ago, a massive eruption known as the Minoan eruption destroyed much of the island and is believed to have contributed to the collapse of the Minoan civilization. The explosion was so powerful that it created the present-day caldera, leaving behind steep cliffs and scattered islets. The resulting tsunamis would have reached the shores of Crete and other parts of the Mediterranean, altering the course of history. Some scholars even link this catastrophic event to the legend of Atlantis, suggesting that the destruction of a highly advanced civilization inspired Plato's tale of a lost city swallowed by the sea. Today, advancements in monitoring technology provide scientists with valuable insights into the caldera's activity. Satellite imaging, GPS measurements, and underwater sensors track ground deformation and gas emissions, offering clues about what might be happening beneath the surface. Since 2011, increased seismic activity and inflation of the Caldera floor have raised concerns among volcanologists. While these signs do not necessarily mean an eruption is imminent, they indicate that the system is active and capable of significant change. The potential consequences of another major eruption extend far beyond Santorini. Ash clouds could blanket the region, grounding flights and affecting air quality across Europe and the Middle East. The release of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere could lead to temporary global cooling, much like the aftermath of the 1991 Pinatubo eruption, which lowered global temperatures by nearly 0.5 degrees Celsius for several years. Additionally, a large-scale eruption could trigger landslides and disrupt marine ecosystems, further amplifying its environmental and economic impact. Despite these risks, Santorini remains a popular tourist destination, drawing millions of visitors each year with its whitewashed buildings, stunning sunsets, and rich history. Local authorities and scientists continue to monitor the situation closely, balancing the need for public safety with the island's economic dependence on tourism. While no one can predict exactly when the next eruption will occur, the signs suggest that the region's volatile nature is far from dormant. The real question is not if, but when Santorini's volcano will awaken once again. Each earthquake releases energy in the form of seismic waves. The first to arrive, primary waves, P waves, travel at breakneck speeds, pushing and pulling rock in their path. They penetrate both solid and liquid layers of the Earth, revealing crucial data about planetary activity. Then come the secondary waves, S waves, slower but far more destructive, shaking the ground in a violent, perpendicular motion. These waves only travel through solid rock, but their impact is immense. And then there are the surface waves, Love and Rayleigh waves, the most devastating of all. These waves move along the Earth's crust, their undulating motion toppling buildings, bridges, and critical infrastructure. Unlike body waves, they don't dissipate quickly, ensuring their destruction can be felt across vast distances. A history of catastrophe. Greece lies at the convergence of the African and Eurasian tectonic plates, a volatile boundary that has unleashed catastrophic earthquakes and volcanic eruptions for millennia. In 365 AD, a massive earthquake generated a tsunami that devastated Mediterranean coastlines, reshaping entire cities. In 1953, a quake in the Ionian Sea left thousands homeless on the islands of Kefalonia, Zakynthos, and Ithaca. In 1999, a relatively moderate earthquake in Athens resulted in over 140 fatalities, proving that even small shifts in the Earth's crust can cause untold devastation. But the earthquakes aren't the only threat. Greece is home to some of the most infamous volcanic eruptions in history. The colossal eruption of Santorini in 1600 BC remains one of the most powerful volcanic events ever recorded. It wiped out the Minoan civilization and is believed to have inspired the legend of Atlantis. The eruption launched a massive ash cloud into the stratosphere, altering weather patterns across Europe and Asia. And now, new seismic swarms could be awakening another long-dormant giant. Could these quakes trigger a global chain reaction? The seismic waves unleashed by Greece's recent swarm don't simply disappear. Instead, they propagate through the Earth's crust and mantle, potentially disturbing other geological structures across the planet. The most pressing concern? The Apalaki caldera, the largest volcanic caldera on Earth. Discovered only recently beneath the Philippine Sea, this 150-kilometer-wide supervolcano dwarfs even the infamous Yellowstone caldera. It remains largely unstudied, but evidence suggests it was formed by an eruption of unimaginable scale. One so violent it may have reshaped entire oceanic basins. Apalaki, named after the giant lord of Filipino mythology, belongs to an exceptionally rare category of supervolcanoes, capable of eruptions thousands of times more powerful than any recorded in human history. If Apalaki were to awaken, the consequences would be dire. A massive eruption could plunge the world into a volcanic winter, sending ash and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, disrupting ecosystems and altering global climate patterns for years. A planetary domino effect. The idea that seismic activity in Greece could influence a volcano halfway across the world might seem far-fetched, but Earth's lithosphere is not a static shell. It's a dynamic, interconnected system where immense forces are constantly at play. Major earthquakes have the power to redistribute stress along distant fault lines. In some cases, they've even triggered volcanic eruptions thousands of kilometers away. After the 1960 Valdivia earthquake, the most powerful ever recorded, Indonesia's Mount Surma erupted just 2 days later. The 2004 Sumatra earthquake was followed by increased volcanic activity across Indonesia. Japan's 2011 Tohoku earthquake preceded an eruption of Mount Shinmoidake. Could the tremors in Greece be sending ripples across the planet's interior, disturbing magma chambers in ways we have yet to understand? The sleeping giants we can't ignore. Apalaki is just one of many supervolcanoes that could be affected. Others, like Yellowstone in the US, Campi Flegrei in Italy, and Toba in Indonesia, are also governed by the same underlying geological forces. Each of these volcanic behemoths has the potential to unleash destruction beyond human comprehension. The last time Yellowstone erupted, 640,000 years ago, it blanketed North America in a suffocating layer of ash. If Apalaki were to experience a similar event, the consequences could be even more severe. A submarine eruption of this magnitude wouldn't just create massive tsunamis, it could also release vast amounts of toxic gases, devastating marine ecosystems, and sending the global climate into chaos. What happens next? So, what does all this mean? Are these tremors simply part of the island's natural rhythm? Or are they the warning signs of something much bigger? If history has taught us anything, it's that nature rarely gives second chances. The people of Santorini live atop one of the most dangerous volcanic systems in the world, and the recent earthquakes are a stark reminder of the power that lies beneath their feet. While there is no immediate cause for alarm, the possibility of an eruption cannot be dismissed. The only certainty is that Santorini's story is far from over. The island has risen from the ashes before, and it will do so again. The question is not if, but when. What do you think? Could Santorini be on the verge of another massive eruption? Or are these tremors just another chapter in the island's ongoing geological saga? Leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries beneath Santorini, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more fascinating discoveries from around the world, hit the bell icon so you never miss our next adventure.